Good evening. Welcome to the Selectmen's meeting for May 2nd, 2024. And we'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, good measure. Okay, now we can take special permit hearing for Jacob L. and Katie M. Silverman for property at 104 Kendall Lake and Road. Hi there.
Evening.
Hi.
Hi. Shannon Boomsma, White Engineering. So you saw this last year. This is an existing house. If you don't recall, it was former McDonald house. Boat ramp. New house, and then this one. So we're on the northwest side of Stockbridge Bowl. Existing house, what we did before was request approval to put on an addition on the north side, a garage, and an outdoor kitchen on the south side. What they would like to do is in the area where the outdoor kitchen was proposed, which is within 100 feet of the lake, to do a screen porch with a patio instead. So the outdoor kitchen part, which will be in the screen porch, is going to be on a frost wall. The rest of the screen porch is going to be on piers, and then the patio is set in sand. So it is pervious. The original roof area for the outdoor kitchen was 54 square feet, and the new screen porch is 290 square feet. So there is an increase, and the new patio will be about 350 square feet. The existing covered patios here are 50 feet at the closest point from the lake. This is going to be 70 feet to the patio, 88 feet to the screen porch. So no closer, actually further than existing.
Okay.
The site is under construction now. They're working on this. We have a amended order of conditions from the Conservation Commission and an approval from the planning board.
Good. So the house is based at an angle, so you're actually building kind of further away than the rest of the.
Yes, yeah. This is about 50 feet over here.
Yeah.
Further away.
Okay, any comment from the public or any public from the public against?
And what's the overall percentage lot coverage? Does it?
Lot coverage is 2.51%.
Okay, so-
And under the planning board approval, we have 75% of the 150-foot lake and pond overlay district vegetated with natural vegetation.
So close the public hearing. So any comments from the board?
I mean, we have to vote to close the public hearing. Yeah.
I'll make a motion, we close the public hearing.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any comments from the board?
Motion
Make a motion,
approved.
we approve.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Keep working. Take action on minutes of the March 21st, 2024 meeting. I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Announce Memorial Day events. Right.
Yeah, I'm just trying to put it up on the screen so people can see it. Screen sharing.
Mhm. So do that as a precaution now.
I did that right. Cheat.
Yeah. So for Memorial Day, Monday, May 27th, there's going to be starting off with the ceremonies at the cemetery at 11 a.m. A benediction taps for veterans at both cemeteries, including the Riverside ceremony for those who died at sea. And then they'll meet at the Congregational Church at 10:45. At 12:15 will be the annual parade. It'll leave the town offices at 12 PM. All veterans, regardless of residency, with or without uniform, are encouraged to march or ride. Memorial Day program at 12:45 at the Congregational Church will be at the conclusion of the parade. There'll be guest speakers, music by the Berkshire Hillsmen, and a patriotic craft for the kids by the library. And there's gonna be community events, complimentary hot dogs, chips and beverages. Quantities are limited. There's also will be food available for purchase, and we will have tours of the Chime Tower, and then at 5:30, there'll be a concert featuring the chimes at the Children's Chime Tower. So it's a whole day worth of events happening there. So come and join for all of it, come and join for some of it. I know the committee's been working hard on Saturday meetings to put everything together, so it's the first time, as noted there, since 2017, the chimes will be being played on Memorial Day again.
So but they're gonna ring the chimes at the end of the,
Yeah, at the end
so
of,
they'll ring them and then they'll
gonna be-
have the concert at 5:30.
Yeah.
All right, that's nice. Great.
Yep.
Okay,
Thank you, Mike.
perfect. And I want to thank the committee for all their hard work in getting this going. We have a new,
Hey,
listen to the building inspectors.
what?
yep, so let me just,
Hey, can you give me 1 second? Hey, John, I see you're on Zoom, John. John's one of the neighbors to the Curtisville. If you go to stockbridge-ma.gov and look at the packet, you can see the bridge report. I meant to send it to you today and didn't get around to it. I apologize.
I took a look. I've got that.
Oh, you did? Okay,
Yeah,
good.
thank you. Thank you.
Sorry about that. Thanks.
all right. Yes, so, in October of last year, we joined with Lee Lennox, Great Barrington, in a four-town building department. And we are now fully staffed. So the building inspector assigned to Stockbridge is Adam Vanderneck. And he started on Monday. I'm gonna have him come in probably at a future meeting to meet all of you. The setup is that Adam is spending half of his time here, half his time as a floater. There's another Ryan who does Lee half-time and Lennox half-time, and then there's one full-time in Great Barrington. I forget his name. And then Matt oversees the entire thing, and he deals with the more complex issues or controversial ones. While the rest of the inspectors handle the day-to-day operations and simple building permits and the rest. So for the first time since we got this program up, it is now fully staffed. So we're going to be posting hours Monday for the department. So we'll have regular hours instead of by appointment, which we've been having to run with since then. So Adam, expecting to be a great addition. He was a building inspector in Pittsfield, and he's now working as part of our group of four.
Very well on that. That was a really good
Yeah.
situation. That could have been bad.
I was over,
Great for everybody. So announce boards and committees appointment openings. So as of beginning of June, we got a point for all the committees. So that will be posted on the website Monday. So anybody interested and stuff can look on the website on Monday, and we'll be doing that the first meeting in June.
Okay, thanks.
Fire department warrant article.
Yeah, so I'm going to ask the board to consider adding one more article before you sign. We have it to sign next, for town meeting. You're supposed to have permission to have anybody above 65 be a firefighter on there, and sometimes you do them individually. We want to put a blanket one for the town going forward. So it would just be a single one that would allow all paid volunteer or fire to go to age 70. So
Oh, so up.
up to age 70. Yeah. So we'd have to ask for special legislation, and there's a lot of people that wonder why they just don't do it, period, because a lot of communities have, but this would be just a blanket one instead of individual ones.
And do we have to vote on this or?
We
Just
did,
gotta
yeah,
put on the
to add
warrant.
it to the warrant.
Okay,
So I make a motion, we add it to the warrant.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And sign the warrant, we do that after. Let's go to approve hydraulic opening waiver letter for Tuckerman Bridge first.
Okay.
Then we'll talk about the other bridges.
So you have a letter in front of you from our engineers for the bridge. This is for the Tuckerman. So right now, what we're asking is due to the fact, the existing support beams and that for the bridge, allow for, so we have historically, the area around the bridge floods to the easterly side. The road, everything in that area around the Tuckerman. The area is a floodplain and it does flood. If we can't get this waiver, then we would have to also move the foundations out of the river area. And in this case, a lot of times that has a benefit of allowing the river to flow better. But since that area is an entire floodplain and it floods anyways around it, this would allow us to maintain the footings where they are. The footings, bore sampling was done, the rest, they've been there before this bridge. There was a bridge before it on those. It can definitely accommodate it. And if we get the waiver, then we don't have to make those modifications to the bridge.
That costs a couple
Foundations.
million.
It would probably save in the neighborhood of 2 million if we have to take out those foundations and put in new ones. So it's definitely something that we're recommending. This was done by our engineers and then evaluated by a second engineering company too, in order to make
I
sure.
think our shot is again,
I think we have a good shot. We've laid out the reason, and if you guys are agreeable to it, then you can vote to approve to send this letter, sign it, and then we can petition the state under our chapter 85 review to grant us the waiver.
motion to approve.
Second. All those in
That's
favor?
anybody.
Aye. I think the race sign.
No.
Okay. Project updates. We want to do sidewalk project for a bridge evaluation.
Yeah, so you have in front of you some of the plans. We'll start off with the walkway for 102. So it shows you an example of the walkway. That should be that's
In the folded one.
yeah,
Great.
yeah, there you go. It's a folded one, so it shows the layout. Sorry, I know I gotta get that one other piece open. Just before the meeting, for whatever reason, my laptop started, two selectmen heard it. Started making some really strange sounds and I shut it
It'll be
down,
on
had to restart it, so.
Inside by the
Yeah.
garbage.
So it starts all the way down and crosses right before,
Oh, I see, then it will cross.
and you got a real good
And it
line sight
matches.
view.
Yeah.
And then it comes into here,
The other
then we
sidewalk.
tie
Right,
from here and Church Street,
To our-
the east side to ours.
yeah.
Yeah, so we've been working with Mass DOT and they presented and got approvals from the conservation to install a walkway from Pine Woods all the way down to where the entrance is to the highway. It would then cross over and finish coming all the way down to North Church. Then the town, you guys voted before to approve this, to move ahead with this project, and we would be committing to connecting from North Church to the remaining church, which would create an entire corridor all the way down. So
Let's try.
the example of what they're putting in, I'm gonna throw up on the screen. This is what's being proposed. It's similar to Walker Street in Lenox. So this is
So it's on the north or south side of the street was proposed.
This comes first, it comes down. So it comes from Pinewood.
This is North Church, it says though.
Yeah, so it comes down from Pinewood,
Yeah. Then he crosses over.
crosses over at the
So-
highway garage. right before the highway goes.
Yeah, but this is the road here, right? So it's on the same side of the street as Pine Woods. Or no?
Right,
Right.
starts on
Yeah.
Pinewood,
Yeah, yeah, I got it.
crosses over at the highway garage. It goes on the east side of there.
Oh, okay, so you do have to cross the
You have
street.
to cross.
Yeah, because of the wetlands.
Yeah, and the sight lines are good all there to have somebody cross.
We did
And the
walk
rest.
through the line of sight is, you can
It's
see,
terrific.
having both
Yeah.
ways, so.
Good.
And as you can, safety issue is,
Yeah, and as you can see on the photo that's up there, what they're proposing to put in, it's gonna be a 3-foot safety lane from the white line over, and then it's going to be a flush sidewalk. And this will allow drainage and the rest because that is a wetland resource area, so this will allow any water to flow off the road
and then they can
and the rest.
plow right off.
And they can plow it right off. And
Cool.
this area, Walker Street, has a 40-mile-an-hour speed limit. And it's what was done there, and it's exactly what's they're gonna do there. So it's got conservation approval, and like I said, you guys approved it last year to move forward with it, but wanted to bring the final look at that. So unless there's any objections, they're gonna move forward with this project.
Thank
So
you.
we're gonna have, it'll be done in months,
Yeah,
Really?
within-
in months.
It could be.
Wow.
But
Faster than Egremont.
Stockbridge portion.
What's that?
When will you start the Stockbridge portion?
it's all Stockbridge.
It's all stuff.
It's all
So our end-
Stockbridge.
When they're done.
The part that Stockbridge is paying
We'll
for.
do it when they're
Well,
done.
once they're gonna do their part, then we're gonna figure out where everything ends, and then we're gonna plan out ours. So we're
Okay.
working on our section of what we need to do
Okay.
as far as to tie in the rest.
And do you think that part will be done this year too?
We're hoping to have all of it done. Yeah,
Okay, good.
yep,
If the state does their own, we do ours.
yep.
And it is blacktop.
You're sure that's not
Yeah.
Housatonic? I'm kidding.
Okay, so that's that one. We're good there, Curtis Road Bridge.
Yeah, so about a year ago, we had done our initial look at the Curtisville Bridge, and we got our recommendations sent to us by our bridge engineer. Just move it up. So ignore that, he just puts a generic bridge. It's the same one he had for the Tuckerman, the same one he has for this one. But he did lay out, and not that I think you guys can make any decisions tonight, but he laid out the 3 options, which, let me get to page 10. So some of these options are just build-offs of the original concept that was brought up before, which was, oops. Why is that not? Sorry. Just getting to the part. All right, so option 1 that was identified, estimated at almost 1.2 million would be to, this bridge means dismantling the current stone arch bridge, replacing it with an existing superstructure, a hybrid cast in place, reinforced concrete stone masonry arch, then using structural steel to support it, but then using what we had before, which was using the original stones to create the masonry on the side to restore it to the look.
Illusion.
The stone arch bridge that we have. So, Mass Historical says any tear down and rebuild, even if you tear it down and rebuild it the way they used to, it's still a rebuilt bridge. It's, so, this is one option. That would be also designing it to the specifications to allow traffic, including vehicle traffic over it. The other option 2 is around $1 million, and this would be basically doing all the same, but it would be building it only to pedestrian loads and relocation of utilities back. So we get rid of that other, in both these scenarios, we get rid of the other utility. And then the third option, which is roughly $500,000, would be to remove that bridge and create a pedestrian walk bridge over the existing upgraded sewer, up over the water and sewer utility bridge. And that would be creating a walkway across that. So those are the laid out options that we have at this point. His recommendation was that based on a 75-year, the way it would be built, it'd be a 75-year bridge. That the 1.1, almost $1.2 million would be the recommended from our consultant. So that's where we're at this point. So I think it's more of just thinking about which concepts and whatever we want to do as far as community outreach to get some feedback on
Yeah,
some
we'll
of
hold some
these.
meetings after
And then,
after your annual town meeting. We
Right.
can hold some meetings on this and, get the public input.
yeah, because this is just strictly feasibility. This is not.
So
not-
when we were out there, what was that, 9 months ago, 6 months ago, there was a discussion of a very long plate that would be anchored into the rock on each end that would basically not have any load on the old bridge itself, but that would maintain the old bridge.
Well, that's another option that we can still explore. And that was basically, this one is taking the bridge down.
I know, I understand.
Ours is taking it down, building an existing bridge and then using the stones to create the.
I get what this is the idea we've been kicking around for 3 or 4 years.
Right.
I would very much like to understand both what the cost and feasibility is of a big, long plate that just leaves it alone. And so if it, so it wouldn't matter if it crumbled underneath it or not. It basically is an 1843 bridge, then we still have an 1843 bridge. So I don't know if it's hard. Maybe it's not possible to do it, but
Yeah.
nice to know, because that was
you'd be referring to just sticking a Bailey Bridge over the top of.
what we discussed, right, that day?
Those are temporary bridges so Bailey bridges are temporary bridges that are brought in and put across the
Don't we
existing
rent them?
structure of the bridge. They're not, they're fully supported themselves instead of, so you could set it on top of there. And then the other option, there was the possibility of exploring some way of taking out all the dirt behind, keeping it intact and then pouring away in there. And that's still another option I could explore further. That would
Be
most
very
likely get up in
Oh, maybe, but I mean, I think there's a, it's a historic town.
yeah.
Well, if I'm putting the plate over it, you're not solving the problem of the bridge falling.
No, the
down.
bridge itself would just sit across and not be,
Yeah, wouldn't carry a load.
it wouldn't carry.
Be some rocks underneath the bridge, as long as it has an arch, it looks like a bridge. Yeah.
Yeah. So the question is, right now, do we want to look at a few other options? Do we want to proceed with community outreach on the existing options that we have at this point? But like I said, I don't know. I know I got this stuff we just received this, we put it up. You've only had, it's 80, I forget how many pages here you might want to take through. We
Yeah.
have larger drawings if somebody wants to take them and take a look at what's being proposed. But
I would like to read through it and understand it better.
yeah, so we could just place this back on the next meeting and then look at it. I could just ask a couple questions and,
Yeah, I'd like to know if there's an option to do the Bailey / Ford Bridge and maintain the current rocks as is. And I did already read it. So it was great. It was good. For the 3 options, it's good. I would vote for, I think it's important to hear from, Yeah.
one risk about leaving the bridge as is if you have a high water event where the bridge fails, the bridge could collapse in on itself, creating a dam, basically and cause water to jump, the stream to jump or something else. If you had a so
It's
just,
risky leaving that stone there.
right, whether or not we want to leave the bridge
And then we have a more
underneath with a
expensive
bail,
problem.
above it, if it fell in when
A
it's say
storm.
3/4 full.
that's what the engineer can tell us, what the possibility is of it actually collapsing if there's no weight on it.
But
Right
then
now,
it's
with no weight
expensive.
on it, the existing reports that we've had from Fort, which is why we closed it to even pedestrians. That bridge could stay up for 5 or 10 more years and it could collapse in the next 6 months. It's the underneath is separating the underneath in the archway. And if you lose the arch, you lose the bridge. And originally, the first drawings that were done back in 2015, in order to keep the bridge as is, they were actually going to drive pins through and then hold everything and basically use pinnings to hold everything in place. They have determined that because we didn't act in 2015, that option is no longer a viable option. So now it's a tear down and replace.
Okay. We'll schedule this for sometime in June.
We have abutters who came to the meeting. I think we should see what their thoughts are, if you so want.
You want to comment, John, or?
Yeah, I can start just to share. I think like for those of us who live in that neighborhood, it's a very special historic district. Curtisville it was always sort of a really cool New England industrial town. It's why I think most of us are attracted there. I think the property I own is built in 1827 and shares its foundation with the bridge. And I'm even, about to invest sizable amounts of money to ensure that I, retain the structural integrity for the house in order to make sure that it stays historic in nature. So that's one of the reasons that drew us to Stockbridge to begin with. I think it's what, bonds our community in a lot of ways. So I'm definitely of the fan of making sure that the historic nature of the bridge is top of mind for everybody involved. And I think too, the only other question, maybe more as we continue to dive deeper into this, is all of your confidence in some of these, kind of cost proposals. I think, Michael, you and I in early conversations a year or two back, you'd mentioned somebody did an estimate of taking apart the stone bridge and rebuilding it, and that was going to cost somewhere in the neighborhood of $6 million. So I would just want to make sure too that we're clear that these estimates you all have a lot of experience with these types of infrastructure projects, so can probably gut check it, but feel confident in both the current cost as well as the maintenance cost that this firm is proposing, so that we're kind of guided with the right fiscal impact that this might have for the town. So those would be my two things that I just want to make sure stay top of mind as we continue to discuss this.
Can you put this online?
Yeah, I'm gonna actually it's online right now as a
Okay.
package, John. I'll put it on. But I will say that 6 million was an estimate that originally there was talk about actually taking the bridge down and building it the way it was originally built, which would be at one point in there's some old reports that back in like 1990, they basically had somebody that built stone arch bridges about putting it back together the way it was. But that's an incredibly labor intensive. The proposal here is take it out, build a modern bridge, and then create the facade of what's there.
So I have a question for both of you guys. Obviously, your foundations are kind of a connected structure to the bridge foundation in terms of the stonework. It wraps all the way around as you go south down the river from where the current existing stone bridge is down to both your houses. So not being an engineer, I just want to ensure that if the town were to remove the existing bridge and the fabrication of the new bridge, have we thought through any impact it might have on the existing structures?
That would have to be handled as we get into which option we're going to proceed with, of what we need to do. This is a feasibility, so just like the other day, this is very high-end, just conceptual. Yes, there may be some required sheathing to protect the banks, to keep the retaining walls in place for the building that's on the other side.
Yeah.
There's some of those that would have to be taken in, but that's definitely when we start to narrow our focus more from the high-end look down to the actual specific drawings. In 2015, they actually got all the way to the specific drawings and the actual, like I said, pinning of it, which would have held the bridge.
Right, I get that. I'm just saying, if you take out some rocks, the rocks that are adjacent to it may move, and those may be on private property. We may not be able to remediate that work. I don't know. I'm just making sure that we have budget in place
The walls that are on the east side of the bridge are being undermined right now. There's actually, I showed a picture of that I took from there, that if you look off the bridge across.
And that's on your side.
On the downward side, the stones at the bottom are popping out because the water is actually going under the foundation side. And that's the worst scenario, because if it was the top, you could fix the top, but you can't fix the bottom without getting underneath the bridge. So we actually have, because the top retaining wall on that side is gone, water is actually getting in higher water events under the foundation and then under that lower wall, and it popped one of them right out. And
But that'll all be addressed, whatever design we go to.
Right.
All that will be addressed. I'm not gonna just cut that off and leave the walls. I mean, that's not gonna be an option. So that's all gonna be, whatever design we go with, the town decides to do. All that would be detailed when we vote on something. I mean, we're not gonna just ignore that.
Yeah, that would leave us on the hook for,
Yeah, we're-
Because that's all intertwined, so you can't,
Yeah,
you
taking out,
just can't take the.
if you took out
town
the
part
bridge,
out.
that third option, taking out the bridge would require retainage walls to keep
Yeah,
everything.
you got the walls gotta go back up, but the probably be poured concrete and then faced with the stone and.
Right.
You only see the concrete and it'll be permanent.
And that's what will happen with some of the retaining walls. If we move forward, they would
Yes.
be poured cement with the stones to create the facade once again.
Yeah, I mean, I would echo John's sentiments that obviously we moved there for a reason, the historical nature of the area, the beauty of it, and would like to see it, retained if possible. But if not, then, something that's,
the look and feel of the retained, yeah.
what's that?
Or at least the look and feel that
The
exists.
look and feel retained, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Okay.
And I think those of us who live right there too would obviously prefer to see a pedestrian approach as opposed to a vehicular bridge, but
Mhm.
we'll have
No,
to see what
we'll see what the
happens.
public
Yeah.
input is when we have the meeting sometime in June.
Right.
Um,
Do you have any sense of like, what we're looking at in terms of time frame for this?
This would be a while out.
So
Yeah.
depending on what direction we go.
Yeah.
So if we have to go for a bridge for vehicles, we have to pass chapter 85 review.
Yeah.
For which the state would have to come in. If not, if it's a pedestrian bridge, it goes under ASTO. There's a different analysis of it, which is much less because it's obviously carrying much lower loads than the rest. If we were to get everything moving ahead, go to the next phase of selecting one of these options and then beginning the drawings and the rest, potentially you could be looking at the summer of 2020, construction season of 2026, 2026.
Because it's terrible. It's like,
And you're looking at several months at least, I would assume, best case scenario.
This should be a one season
Yeah.
bridge work. So one construction season.
Okay, so that's the summer, spring, summer, whatever.
Yeah.
Fall.
Yeah.
Okay.
Depending on when they could start, we'd have to go out to bid, get somebody in, if we can line it up, but it all comes to now solidifying a plan, because what has happened before is we've been stuck without deciding. If we decide a course of action, we can go for funding at next year's meeting, look at other options and then
Yeah,
proceed.
we'll
do
put,
you want it? Do you want, I mean, look, it sounds like what you're saying because of the chance of the underlying collapse and the damming of the river, that as much as we want to save that structure, it's unlikely that is the best course action. Is that a summary of where we're at?
I believe so. I think these are three options. There was one other possible option, which was beginning to move, because the arch stones itself, there's dirt behind those stones. And then the blacktop over the top would be trying to excavate out and then pouring cement to hold it as is. That would only be a pedestrian. There's no other option.
yes, right, so you got a good chance that wall's gonna fall in and.
That's helpful.
I mean, I guess the question I'm asking is, we reopened the warrant. You don't want a recommendation to do something, we got a town meeting.
In engineering to proceed with the next step if we want.
No, we can't
So
rush.
basically.
No, we're not gonna.
Nobody's rushing anything. I'm just saying, I'm asking the question.
There's nothing we need to do now other than decide now which one of these is gonna move from feasibility to conceptual, where you get to about 25% and then if everything looks good there, then you move to construction at
Money in
75.
place to do that 25% work.
Next steps. Because I actually have in the bridge account, we still have in the neighborhood of 53,000, which would allow us to do the next phases of engineering to move forward on this. So.
And, okay, and does that include, is that separate from the other bridge project that has been in discussion, the little one?
Well, I think we're gonna have to prioritize some things here. So that one,
Let's
we
not
can talk about at some point.
Confuse everything.
So I'm gonna be bringing to the board at the next meeting, we need to discuss that little bridge over the dam,
I thought, okay,
little footbridge.
And you
We'll get
know,
into that at the next meeting.
let's not confuse projects.
let's finish the conversation here. We're not in any hurry. And you don't want to add, just in case, so you could do both, a little bit of money into engineering, so that if you needed a little bit, you don't have to choose between fixing the little bridge and doing the engineering on this bridge?
Why are we
Question from
pushing?
Michael?
Well, that's not an issue.
I don't know. We need
So
to
we're looking
push.
at some options from putting a trail bridge there, which the USDA, US Forest Service has designs for a trail bridge that could be, if you follow their designs, we could build that ourselves possibly as a could. Also look at a prefabricated bridge to put there. There's a bunch, we're looking into it. I don't have any details at this point.
That's
Because we don't
a,
want,
Instead of
it's not
just
on the
guessing
agenda.
at
that's
money
a
or-
minor expense, minor issue.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's,
Adjourn.
we'll put this off to sometime in June. We could get it out on the website so everybody look at it. And then we'll have our questions and answers, hopefully.
We do it in the first one in June
Well, let's,
to have that gives us about a month to evaluate what we have and then announce it and try to get people here that would like to comment on the bridge.
is it first meeting or second meeting?
The first one is June,
Maybe right after the annual town meeting.
it would be June 6th, but the next one's June 20th. And the town meeting was
How
Tuesday,
many is before?
May
20th. So it's 2 weeks from,
Yeah, we'll do June 6th.
Maybe I missed it, but was there some option of some kind of injection into the bridge that would sort of keep it together? Simplified way of putting it?
There wasn't an injection one.
Yeah.
What was proposed before, like I said, was
The,
they were like discs that was gonna be a dry, and the discs were
from
gonna
the bottom.
force it. You weren't gonna see them. It was gonna be underneath the bridge to hold everything in. And then there was gonna have to be some poured cement to hold the edges in, but the rigidity of the bridge would have been held by those ones that were gonna be multiple points. The bridge has proceeded past that they don't recommend that anymore. And that was an option, like I said, in 2015, and, we're 9 years later.
Okay, so we'll put this on our first meeting in June.
And one other thing, just as a minor thing, but living next to it all year long, the chain link, is there anything we can do about that?
We gotta keep everybody off it.
So the only thing I did, because it's funny, I looked at that the other day is, and I was gonna reach out. You sent me an
I
email.
emailed you.
Yeah. So I was actually preparing a response because one of the options to see if you even thought it would be is you can get basically it basically looks like leaves.
Yeah, the green, whatever.
Yeah, they're actually more plastic-like leaves that make it look, and you hang it on a chain link fence to make the fence sort of vanish. So I was wondering if that was just.
Do you change it in the winter and put snow?
Yeah.
January, there are leaves sitting on the.
Right. I mean, I just thought maybe that's something, I mean, no matter what, we have to have something to be a barricade. So whether or not we put up maybe something like that on it.
What about something that's running to like another fence? Wooden or something more aesthetic?
That potentially, because actually they even have different ones that have wood slats that you lay on it to create the facade of.
Yeah,
Just taking the chain link away to make it look better.
it's not a huge deal, but.
We'll look into it, see what our options are, and keep you updated.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I was gonna send you a couple things to
All
look
right,
at.
sure, thanks.
Yeah.
okay, I make a motion to adjourn.
second,
All those in favor?
aye.
Aye.